WordPress is an open source programming platform for web developers. WordPress can be used to design many different web pages, but basically it was firstly designed to enable easy blogging web creation by thousands of volunteers, and therefore it's free to use. Having said that, WordPress is also very priceless. What it means is actually that you do not require any sort of programming knowledge to actually go ahead and create a beautiful looking pages. There are thousands and thousands of different plugins and different themes which you can use to actually create the web page that will suit your business the best. Throughout these video tutorials, we'll go from the very beginnings and the very easiest stuff of installing the WordPress 4 to actually going into more advanced stuff and actually having a look at different plugins and different themes. The video tutorials have been designed so they can be followed by either a total beginner or a more advanced user. Video tutorials are actually on WordPress 4. However, WordPress version 4 does not differ a lot from previous versions such as version 3.9. What's happened with version 4 is that the developers have actually tried to fix all the bugs and all the problems WordPress version 3.9 had. So there's a lot of stuff that actually happened, if you like, under the bonnet, but there is not a lot of fancy new changes that you can see when you actually log in and start working with WordPress version 4. The version we are going to use in this video tutorial is WordPress 4.0.1, which is at the time of the recording of this video tutorials the latest version available. We will see how to actually go about installation of WordPress 4, which actually differs from previous versions such as version 3.9, and we will see some of the changes that are actually in this particular version. Like I've said, there is the difference when it comes to installation, as there is different languages you can choose to have your backend and your front end as well. Throughout the video tutorials, I will actually highlight the differences and the changes between WordPress 3.9 and WordPress 4. So if you are new to WordPress, this will be a good comprehensive introduction into this particular software, and you will see how actually to go about creating your web pages. It will take you from the very beginnings of actually downloading and installing WordPress onto your server, then creating some of the databases and linking it with your online page. If you're more advanced and you have worked with WordPress before, this might come as a refresher to some of the stuff that you already know. However, as I have mentioned before, throughout this series of video tutorials, I will highlight all the changes and all the differences available within WordPress 4. At the end, regardless of whether or not you have had any experience with WordPress and CMS, you should at least see the differences between this particular version of WordPress and the earlier versions. Once again, if you have never worked with WordPress before, these video tutorials will take you through all the processes and actually show you how to go about creating your online web page. So enough talk, let's get into it and let's see what we can do with WordPress 4. Alright, so now that we have some basic understanding of what WordPress is, let's go ahead and set up our WordPress. There's a couple of things you would need to actually have before you actually go and set up the web page, before you go into downloading the WordPress. First of all, you will need an active email account, and this email will be linked to your online web page. The second thing you would have to do is to actually register with WordPress. Now to do that, just open the browser and type in wordpress.com, and a page like this will actually show up. Now they've changed this page and I don't really like it. I like the other one, the old one, a bit more. They've gone to all clean look here, and basically you'll find some information here on WordPress, and you can actually see that it's got hundreds of designs, that it's freshly pressed, that it's ready for mobile. And you'll find other information here as well, that you can have your own domain name. It's quite easy to use. There's the best technical support, premium plans, millions of users, and it's actually CEO friendly. Moving down, you'll find that basically WordPress powers about just a bit more than 20% of the internet. Okay, scrolling back up, you'll see this option here where you would enter your name of your new site, and you would actually go ahead and create the website. Now you can register as many different accounts, and you can open as many different accounts as you want, and you can create many different pages on those accounts. I would strongly suggest that you just go with one account, and that account will be linked with your email, and you will receive updates from the WordPress, and most importantly, you will actually receive the account activation email there. Now, instead of actually typing in here your address and going create website, what I prefer to do is I'll click on the login button up here, and since I have not yet created an account, I'll actually click just down here where it says register. Okay, so this will actually open up a page that says get started with WordPress.com. Okay, you'll enter some basic information here like the email address, username, password, and the blog address here as well. On the right hand side, you'll find a bit more about each field. So basically this is the email field, and you'll find some information here that actually explains that this particular email that you enter here will be used to send emails regarding activation of the account, and just to make sure that you actually type in the correct email address here. You'll find some information about the password, the username, and the password here as well. If you scroll down a bit more, you'll actually see what they have now is 3 different plans. They have the beginner, the premium, and the business plan. Okay, so depending on your needs, you will choose one of these plans. So let's have a look at some of the differences. So basically, if you're running a online business and you need e-commerce plan, you need e-commerce just to sell some stuff on the internet, you would go for the business plan. Okay, and that plan is currently at about $300 per year. Okay, so premium and beginner and premium do not have this option for the e-commerce. They all have free blogs. They all have, except for the beginner, they all have custom site address. So if you need a custom site address, you would go for either a premium or business. There's some difference in the space available. So for the beginners, there's 3 GB, there's 13 for the premium, and basically for the business it's unlimited. Beginner's pack actually has some ads, the other 2 do not have any ads, as well as for the custom design. Custom design is not available with the beginners, and also video press is not available as well. When it comes to premium themes, the only available option here is actually for the business plan, so only business plan can actually have premium themes. Also, if you pay a bit more, so if you pay $300, you will get a live chat support. Otherwise, for the premium, which is just below $100 per year, you will get a direct email. And if you're actually using the free version, which is the beginner version, you will get a community help. Alright, so let's go back up and enter some information. Now I have designed a special email address just for this purpose, and I'll type it in here. At yahoo.com. Alright, and for the username, I'm going to enter something like let's learn. Alright, let's see if this is available. Okay, it already exists. Let's go back and I'll put some numbers, 15, 19. Alright, this is acceptable. And for the password, I'll go ahead and I'll type in the password as well. Alright, then straight ahead it will actually give you a blog address. So this is where your blog will be hosted at. So my particular blog would be WordPress.blog.wordpress.com, because this is a free version. If you click down here, you'll actually find all the other versions that you can actually choose, all the other extensions. So you can go from .com, .net, .org, .co, .me, .info, biz, and everything else, and there you'll find actually the prices per year. However, for this purpose, I'm just gonna leave it as .wordpress.com, because this is a free version and this is just for this particular tutorial. Of course, you can choose any of these, and actually if you do choose any of the extensions that you'll actually have to pay for, you'll actually go through a process that's not going to be covered in this video tutorial, where you actually have to enter your payment information. Okay, I'll leave it as this, and I'll just scroll down, and just down here I'll hit on the create block button. Alright, so the next step, it will actually say blog title, and this is something that you can actually go ahead and fill in as you would like it to be, or just leave it as it is, and actually you can change that letter. For the language, you can choose from English, and there's quite a lot of other languages here, and this is something basically that WordPress 4 has done a lot on. So people at WordPress have done a lot of these different languages when it comes to WordPress, but I'm just gonna leave it as it is and hit on next step. Alright, now this will bring me to step 2, where I can actually choose from many different already built themes, and actually you can see that those costs. So for example, this one is $75, $79 and whatnot. Alright, I'm just gonna go with the free version, so this one here, and if you scroll a bit more down, you can actually find the show more templates here. I'm just gonna go with this one and hit on next step. Alright, now it's giving us the option to actually go ahead and customize it, and if this is something that you would like to do, you would hit on customize it, and this will actually open a new page where you can customize this particular theme. However, the purpose of this tutorial is not to customize an already existing theme, but to actually find a different theme that, in my case, I like, and customize that one. So I'm not going to hit on customize, instead I'm just going to hit on next step. Alright, then it's gonna ask you for some information when it comes to the Twitter and Facebook. Once again, if you like, you can actually connect your Twitter account or your Facebook account to this particular website. In my case, I'm just gonna hit on next. Alright, and now it's actually brought me to this page here where all the changes and adding of everything else will be done. Also, right at the top you can see that it's actually asking me to verify my email address. So this is the email that I have actually typed in when I registered, and in order to do that I'll have to go and open my email, and there should be a link there to follow to activate my account. Otherwise, if I do not activate it, I think within 7 or 14 days my account will be deactivated. So let's do that. I'll go back to my email, and right there is confirm your email address for WordPress tuteblog.wordpress. Okay, my email has been verified now, and it's actually saying just right up here that now that this has actually been confirmed, my email, I can actually start publishing my web page. Okay, so this is basically how you would go about registering onto the WordPress, and in the next tutorials we'll actually have a look how to go ahead and add new pages, how to add new posts, and how to actually control the whole WordPress online site. So once again, the most important thing is to have an email address that's valid, and to go through all the steps that I've gone through in order to get to this page here. Also, just a quick heads up, when you actually here, you can go through my sites, you can go to stats, or you can actually move all the way to the right and you'll find this little drop down menu, and right at the bottom you'll actually find sign out. So once you have actually registered, you can actually go here and sign out. This will bring you to the page we have seen before. You can go into login, and enter your username information here. Okay, so this is how you will go about registering with the WordPress online. Let's see now how you would go about installing WordPress onto your server. First of all, there are a couple of things that we need to do before we actually go into the installation of the WordPress. The first thing, of course, is the web server, web host. Now, to do that, you'll have to sign up with one of the host companies that will actually host your online site, and there's quite a few out there, and actually just for this purpose I have chosen a free one, so free host provider, and I will use that one for my website. The second thing you will need is, of course, the WordPress the WordPress files, and to do that all you have to do is just search for WordPress download, and they will actually bring you to the page that I'm currently on. So this is the page from where you would actually go and download the latest version, and in this case the latest version is 4.0.1. But before we actually go and hit on download, let's have a look at some of the requirements here that you will have to have in order to run WordPress on your site. So you'll have to have a PHP version of 5.2.4 or greater, and MySQL version 5 or greater. Now, MySQL is very important, as we will see just a bit later when we actually create a database. Now, to have WordPress on your server, on your site, and to use WordPress to build your blog or your site or whatever it is that you're building, you will need to actually create a database, and this is something that we'll go through in just a moment. Okay, so also here you'll find some features. Now, this is all to do with WordPress, and like I've said before, WordPress 4 is not that different from previous versions, as you will not find a lot of visual differences. People at wordpress.org have actually gone a lot into correcting the mistakes that were made in the earlier versions, like bugs and everything else, and once they have actually corrected that, they just actually made a new version, which is WordPress version 4. Okay, and the only things that you will see when it comes to differences between WordPress 4 and WordPress previous versions is that you will see when we start the installation there's gonna be some differences when you actually go into installation. So you will see that you can actually choose the languages and whatnot, but we'll have a look at that a bit more later. Also, you can find here some testimonials, so this is what other people have said about WordPress, and you can find some history, some books, and a few other links here as well. Going into the first link, which is the intro link, you'll find a bit more about wordpress.org, and I guess if you haven't used any of the earlier versions of WordPress, this might be a good idea to go through some of this and actually see what WordPress really is. Alright, let's go back to download WordPress. And the WordPress that I'm going to be downloading, like I've said, is the latest version at this point of time, and that's version 4.0.1. Now, WordPress has become really easy to install, and you can see here that with the famous 5-minute installation, setting up WordPress for the first time is very simple. Alright, and that's something that I actually done with WordPress for a lot. The main idea is to actually get any kind of users, whether they've used WordPress or any sort of programming before, to actually build a web page within minutes and actually to customize it to meet their needs and likes. Alright, so I'll go ahead and I'll just download WordPress now. Okay, while that is downloading, what I'll do is I'll jump to my website host. I've chosen 000webhost.com basically because it's quite easy to set up and it's free, so for this purpose I will use this web host. Alright, there are a couple of things that I'm looking for here. The first one definitely is the MySQL, so your web host provider has to have my SQL installed and some sort of a file manager. Like I've said, we're going to use my SQL to build a database, and we're going to use file manager or some other software which enable the file transfer protocol, so FTP, to actually upload those files onto the server. Alright, so let's go into my SQL, and here I will go ahead and just build a database. Now you can name your database whatever you like, and once again this all depends on what kind of cPanel your provider actually offers you. So I'm just gonna name, for example, my WP4. Alright, I'm gonna use my username as admin, and this might differ sometimes. Sometimes you will actually have to create a database and then add a user to the database. With the 000webhost.com, they actually create the database, and straight ahead they create a first user which you can put to be any sort of user, so any sort of a username. I'll leave it as admin, and then I will just type my MySQL username password. Alright, I'll click on create database. Okay, so here's my information about my database, and I would strongly suggest that you highlight all this and you copy it and you open a notepad somewhere and you paste that, and also save that because you will need this later when you're actually setting up WordPress 4. But I guess this is just a neat way of keeping everything together, and once everything is actually set up, and you can go ahead and change your passwords and, you know, maybe write somewhere all this information somewhere else, so you're a bit more secure and safe. But for the purpose of this video, as this is a tutorial, I will keep it as it is, and I'll go back to my control panel. Okay, so like I've said, the next thing would actually be to upload the files which have already been downloaded. So I'm talking about the WordPress 4 files. So once again, let's recap. We have just created a database, we have created a user which is needed to actually get the WordPress running, and what I'll do now is I'll have to upload the files that I have just downloaded. Alright, there's two ways. There is the file manager and there is the file transfer protocol details here. If you're using any software for the FTP like Smart FTP or FileZilla, you'll find all the required information here. Alright, so this is my host name. I have chosen it to be WordPress 4 tutorials, and it's giving me this extension which is kind of crazy. It's actually camzy.com. okay, so because this is a free provider, there is my username, my password, and a few other things. I can go ahead and change my password as well. But if you're going to use FileZilla or Smart FTP, you will need this information. Okay, I'll go back, and actually I'll go into File Manager. Alright, so this is all the files that I currently have on the server under my account, and I will go into Public. And what I'll do now is I'll go ahead and upload. However, I can see that it's only, the limit is actually 5 megabytes, so I will not upload files bigger than 5 megabytes. And what I'll have to do is, in this case, I'll go back and I will use the FileZilla to upload all the files. Alright, so let's go back to my cPanel and view all the required information. So this is the information I'm going to need. I'll fire up FileZilla. Alright, and I will use this information here to actually log in. So I'll copy it and paste my host. I'll do exactly the same for the username, and I'll go ahead and I'll type in the password. I'll hit on Quick Connect, and if everything is alright, I should be able to see all the files in my right hand side. And under Public, I'll actually go and I will upload my file, and I will simply drag and drop
Now this might take a bit more time because there is about 2,000 files that need to be transferred, but also if you had a better file manager, you can do it straight from here, and I guess it will be a lot easier. Now remember, the file that we have just downloaded is a zip file, so we have to expand that file. And when you are doing something like this, when you're actually uploading from your cPanel, so from some sort of a file manager, make sure that that file manager also has a unzipping capability, which in my case is not true. So even if I uploaded this using my file manager, I wouldn't be able to use it, as I need to actually unzip all of these files. So once again, if I go to public here, WordPress has already started uploading, and once it's all done, we'll actually go inside and see what files are in there. Okay, in the meantime, what I'll do is actually I'll just go and open the page that I'm currently working on, just to see what it looks at the moment. And this is pretty much what it looks at the moment. Now when everything is uploaded, when I type in this address, and I will make sure that my WordPress actually goes into the root of my web page. So when I type in this particular web page here, which is wordpress4tuts.camzy.com, the WordPress installation page will show here, and we'll see how to actually go about installing WordPress. Okay, so we'll go back and check on my files. Alright, when you get something like this, basically this is safe for me to overwrite everything, as I do not have any files that I need on my server, because I'm starting from a blank database and blank everything, and therefore I can just go ahead and overwrite everything. If you already have some files, just make sure you do not delete or overwrite the files that you need. So basically, if you have on your server some files that you have uploaded before, and if the name of the file you're trying to upload now is the same as the previous one, it will actually tell you what you want to override it, and make sure that you do not overwrite those, as you might need those from some other stuff. Alright, so I'll let all of these files upload, and I'll come back when the files have been uploaded. This is the second part of the WordPress 4 installation video tutorial. Alright, so all of my WordPress 4 files have now been transferred, they have been uploaded to my server, and in the meantime what I've did is actually I changed the URL of my webpage just to make it a bit more user friendly, and I can actually exit FileZilla now, and when I go back to my webpage, I will come straight to this page here. So this is the beginning of the installation of the WordPress 4. So this is one of the things that you will notice different from previous version of WordPress. This is WordPress 4 beginning of the installation. They've done a lot, like I've said, WordPress has done a lot with the languages, and you can see that straight from the first page, and you can find many different languages here. So you can search down for your particular page, for your particular language, and choose it, for example Turkish, and then continue. Alright, I'll choose United States English, and basically this is what your backend, the language of your backend will be. And if you haven't done any programming with WordPress before, you probably are not familiar with the front end and back end. Basically, front end is what the user sees when they type in your URL, and the back end is for the admin people, where all the changes and the customization actually happens. So by choosing a proper language here, you're actually choosing the language for your back end. Alright, so I'll go with the United States English, and I hit on continue. Okay, now this will actually give you some of the information that you will need in order to install WordPress onto your webpage, onto your server. You can read all this, and after that just hit on let's go. And this is now the information about the database. Now remember, we created the database before and we have saved all the information. So when the table is created just for the WordPress, you will create a table which will start with WP. Now you can change this to anything you like, but I would suggest you leave it as it is, so you know that we're talking about the WordPress. Here on all the files that will be created and associated with the table here will have the prefix of WP underscore. Okay, you can find some more information here on the right hand side, and once you fill in all of this, you're ready to submit this. My email address. Alright, so I've typed in my email address, and the last option here is actually to allow the search engines to index the site. Now I would actually suggest that you leave this unchecked, and the reason being is that you're actually creating a new site now, and you don't want search engines like Google and Yahoo to actually go and index your pages because they're not ready yet. Once you actually finish with the development and the design of your web page, you can go and you can actually index your pages. But just to make sure that your pages do not get indexed while they are actually being created, I will leave this unchecked. Alright, and then we'll hit on the install WordPress button here. Alright, so this is basically it. Now my WordPress has actually been installed, and it's been ready to use. This is my username. I will strongly suggest you copy this in your little notepad file as well. So this was my username, and this is my password. Okay, now this is a good idea because this keeps everything nice and tidy, and you can always find what you're looking for. So now we'll go and hit on login, and this will bring us to this page. This is basically the first login screen, and this is login screen you're going to use every time you want to log in into the back end of your WordPress, of your website. Okay, I'm gonna hit on remember me, and I'm going to log in. Alright, so this is what the WordPress looks like. This is the back end once again, and here you'll find a lot of information. This is from where you as the admin of this page will be working, and those are the options and the menus that we currently have on our WordPress, and this is something I'm going to cover in the future tutorials. So all of the other tutorials that to follow this one will go through all of these menus here, all the options and everything else. We see how we can customize it. We'll see how to download and install different themes first of all, and then how we can customize them. We'll also go into security and a few other features, and like I mentioned before, every time I come to something that's new to WordPress 4, I'll actually go and explain what's the difference and how WordPress has improved that. Okay, so basically, just to recap, in the previous two videos, so this one and the one before this, we have actually seen how to install a WordPress onto your web page. Of course, what we needed to do first, after we have actually signed up with the host provider, we actually had to go and to actually create a database. Now, depending on whether or not your host provider, the service, actually adds the user straight away, you will actually have to create a user for that database, or in my case, as you have seen, I did not have to do this, as my web provider actually did that on their own. So I created a database with a username, with a user for that database, and then what I did, I downloaded all the files required to actually install the WordPress 4. Then I went to FTP FileZilla, I entered all the FTP information, and I actually uploaded all the files. After uploading all the files, I actually typed in the URL of my website, and from then on I followed all the prompts to actually go ahead and to install WordPress onto my server, onto my page. So basically, like with the previous versions, I think WordPress has done a great job just to make sure that the installation of the WordPress onto your web page is really quite straightforward. There's not a lot of things that you have to do. Basically, you just have to follow steps, and just remember that you have to have a MySQL database. And when you're actually signing up with different host providers, and actually I think nowadays all the service providers will actually have some sort of a MySQL database capability, but make sure that this is something that you do have. And remember that just before I went to download all the files, there were some requirements from your web host provider that you have to check, just to make sure that that particular provider provides all the required solutions that you will need in order to actually go and install WordPress. Okay, so in the video tutorials following this one, first of all, we'll have a quick look of what's available in the backend. So this is once again the backend of your web page of the WordPress 4. We have a look at what's available on the left hand side, what's available in the middle, and we'll go through all of those, as I've said, in the future tutorials. Okay, so this was basically a quick way of how to install WordPress 4 onto your web page, and basically this is the manual way, because you know, dependent on which host provider you're using, some of them might actually have some sort of app within the cPanel that will actually allow you to automatically install the WordPress. But because I'm not sure which service provider you will be using, I actually went ahead and did it manually. So I've installed WordPress 4.0.1, and actually you can see that if you scroll all the way down, just in the right bottom corner, you'll see that this is version 4.0.1. Excellent. So this is how you would install WordPress onto your web page. So we're talking about WordPress 4. Last tutorials, we have actually seen how to install WordPress onto your web page, and now before we actually go into building web page, let's take a quick look of what WordPress is. Like I said before, there's two bits. There is the front end and the back end, and anytime a person types in your URL, this is the front end, this is the page they will be presented with. Now anyone who knows URL of your web page can access this page, and they can find all the information here. This is basically where your web page is located. If we go to the back end, or something that's called a dashboard, you will be presented with something that looks like this. Now we've seen this before, so basically this is where all the changes are made, and only the people who have the admin rights can access this page. Like I've said, you'll find a lot of tools that you can use to post new messages, to send new messages, to actually insert medias, pages, comments, and work with the appearance and plugins, users, and everything else. So before we actually go into building the web page, let's have a look what's basically here. So I'm going to be working with the back end. So this is the admin side, also called the dashboard. Alright, and basically this is the first page in the backend, which is the dashboard. You'll find it right here, and here you'll find some information about WordPress. And the good thing with WordPress 4 is that once you have read something and you think that that particular, say, box is not that important to you, you can just click here and dismiss this. If I hit on dismiss, all of these messages will actually disappear, but I think it's actually good to have those little links here so I can go and easily add some blogs or pages and view the site as well. Right at the top we'll find the WordPress toolbar, so we can actually see here that we have a few informations about WordPress. So we can go to about WordPress, wordpress.org, documentation, support forms, and feedback. The next one, we have a little house and WordPress tutorial. So this is the name of the site that I'm currently building, and if I was to hit on visit site, I would actually get what the web page looks like at the moment. There's nothing yet here, it just says hello world, and this is something that we'll be actually working on. So this is basically the front end, what the users sees. Alright, let's go back. After that we'll have a plugins, so you can see that anytime you actually have any new updates, you will get this orange circle and with the number of updates in it. So currently I have one in plugins, and that's something that we are going to have a look at a bit later. Here you have the messages, so any messages that are waiting comments that have been sent to you will be shown here, and in the new drop down menu you can actually go and insert some new posts, some media pages and users. So basically this is a quick way of adding new stuff. Alright, in the dashboard we have, like I already said, some information about the WordPress. Moving down you have edit lines, so this is basically a quick summary of what's going on with your page. So you have one post, one comment and only one page at a time. Alright, you can also find some information here. So we are currently running WordPress 4.0.1 and this is the theme that we are actually using right now, and our web page has been actually search engine discouraged. Okay, so this is something that we actually did when we you remember when we were actually installing the WordPress, and we decided to uncheck that last checkbox. So we are going to change this once our page has actually been finished. Alright, moving a bit down we'll find some activity, and also with all of these boxes you can actually minimize them like so, and maximize them where you can actually find all the information. And later when you have a lot of these boxes, it's a good thing because you can actually save some space and read only the important stuff that's available right there. Okay, so there's some activities box here, so you'll find some comments, and this is just an example. So anytime you get a comment you will get something like this, and you can actually approve, you can reply, edit, spam, or make this a trash by deleting it. And here you'll find the information of the pending, approved, spam and trash messages. On the right hand side you'll find some quick draft, so here you will make some sort of a blog, and this is the easiest way to make a blog. You would just type in the title and you would type in some information here and you would hit on save draft. Down the bottom you'll find some news from the WordPress, so basically this is all the updates and what's really happening with the WordPress at the moment. So the latest news that I've got at the moment is from the November 20th, and it's actually saying that WordPress 4.0.1 security release. You can have you can always read this, and you'll find some other information here, some links to the recent activities. Alright, moving up to the top, in the upper right corner we'll find the message. So this is basically the username. So my username for my admin is WordPress. I can go ahead and I can edit my profile, and I can actually log out. Also I can insert a photo here if I wanted to. Going into edit my profile, you'll find a lot of options here that you can actually work with. The only thing you cannot change is the username, so whatever you typed during the installation is how you'll be known inside the WordPress webpage. You can actually type in your first name, your last name, you can type in the nickname and the display name to the public. So if for example I entered a different name here, if I for example entered admin, when I go to this drop down menu I would actually get WordPress and admin options. Alright, this is some basic information, some biographical info about yourself. You can enter new passwords here and you can update the profile by clicking on update profile. Alright, going back to the dashboard. The options just below the admin, I'll usually call this the admin option, where you can actually log out and edit the profile and everything else. So the other two options here is the help option all the way to the right. You'll get some help information about navigation, layout, content and everything else here. And to actually get rid of it, you can just hit on help and that will actually collapse it. Also, there's the screen option, and this is something that we'll go into a bit more details when we actually get to this. This is basically what's actually shown on the dashboard screen. So at glance, so that's this bit here, there's the activity, quick draft, news and the welcome message. So for example, if I was to get rid of, for example, quick draft, you can see that it's gone straight away. I can click on it again and it comes back. So this option here will actually allow you to see what's available within the dashboard. Okay, moving all the way to the left, under the dashboard we have home and updates. Then we have the posts, where you can actually work with the posts that are currently on your web page. There's the media, pages, where you want to insert a new page or actually view all the pages, all the comments, the appearance, where you will actually go and change the theme. You can do a lot of customizations. Widgets, now widgets is something that's been changed to WordPress 4. There's also menus, headers, backgrounds and editor. Plugins, installed plugin, new plugin and editor. For the editor, when you want to edit actual plugin, you would need to have some knowledge of the programming language such as PHP or HTML or any other programming language. Also, there's the users, where you can actually view all the users. You can add new users, and you can also view your profile, which is also available under the here. Okay, the main admin menu. There are tools, where you can have a look at all the tools available. You can import and export tools. There are some general settings, general writing settings, reading discussions, media and permalinks. And then you can hit on the last option here, which will actually get rid of that wide menu. And if you know what you're looking for, so if you know all the icons, you can keep it as it is and you will get a bit more room to work with. Okay, but I would strongly suggest for the beginning that you actually leave this menu as it is, so you can actually have a look at all of the available menus, all the available options here. And in the next tutorial we'll actually start looking at all of these options and we'll see how we can actually go about building our web page. Alright, so a quick recap. There are two parts of the web page using the WordPress 4 or WordPress in general. There is the front end. This is something that the user sees once they actually type in your URL, the URL of the website. And this is basically your web page. This is what you're presenting to the world, and going to the back end, this is where all the stuff happens. So this is where you actually edit some information, where you add and remove all the images, all the media, pages, comments, appearance. You can change the appearance and other settings in here. Okay, so in the next tutorials we'll have a look at first of all how to set up some of the settings, and then we'll have a look how to add new posts, how to add some new media. There's been changes when it comes to media as to video links, so basically you can insert a video into your page. Before, with the WordPress 3.9, you had to actually just insert a link, and then for example YouTube, it will open a new window and the link in the YouTube video. However, now you can actually embed this video straight onto your web page and you can play it from there. Okay, so there's lots to cover and let's get started. Before we actually go into how to build a site, the good thing is actually to set up the account. And to do that, we'll actually go ahead and we'll set up all the required information for the admin. Now, whenever the admin posts any comments or makes any changes, this is the information that will be shown on the web page. There are a couple of ways to actually go about this, and I've shown one of the ways in the previous tutorial. and I'll just repeat that. So the first way is once you have actually logged into the WordPress, you have logged into your site as the admin, you can always go to the upper right corner and there you'll find edit my profile. Okay, and the other option is if you actually go to the dashboard, so for example we'll go site admin here, and on the dashboard there should be a menu called users, and you can actually see all the users, add new users, and your profile. Either way will actually bring you to the same page, which is this one here. Okay, here you can actually set up all the personal information about this particular user, and we are talking about the admin, so this is the person who is actually going to be changing and editing all the pages. And like I've said, anytime this user, in this case myself, anytime I post any new comments or make any changes, my username will be displayed. Okay, so let's go through all the options here. First of all, there's the visual editor, and the first option is to actually disable the visual editor when writing. You can do that, but I would leave this unchecked, as I would like to have all the visual editor options, as it makes it a lot easier to actually go about customizing and editing all the pages. Okay, then we come to the admin color, and by the default it's this, I like to call it a bit darker, but you can always choose a lighter or a blue version, coffee version, and whatnot. Alright, so let's go with the blue version just to see what happens. And you can see that this is a live preview, so you can actually see what's going on. So if I was to click on this one, it would give me exactly how it would look. If I go for midnight, it will give me like this. Ocean, it will change to ocean colors and whatnot. If I go to light, it will give me the light colors. Alright, the first color here is obviously the background, then you have the fonts, then you have the links, and the last option here I think is the visited links. So this is for all the colors, and dependent of your personal preferences you can actually choose whichever color you like, and I'll actually go with midnight. The second option here will give you, actually the third option here is the keyboard shortcuts, and this is very good if you are actually when you actually writing the programs and when you actually building the site, and if you like to use the shortcuts which make everything a lot easier and quicker, you can enable this option here. Also there is a link to more information, and if you to click on more information, obviously you're gonna get more information about the keyboard shortcuts, and you can always read here and find all the shortcuts that are available within the WordPress. And if you decide that you wish to use that, you can go and you can actually click on this box here, which I will do. Now the toolbar, show the toolbar when viewing the site. So what that actually means, if I was to go back to my site, this is the toolbar that we're talking about. So if I enable this, this will be shown. If I disable it, this will disappear. Once again, I like to have this there because I know that I'm actually logged in, and therefore I will leave this option as checked, so it's going to be shown all the time. Now we come to the personal information. So the first one is the name, the username. This is something that we cannot change. This is something that we have actually set when we were setting up the WordPress. Then you can actually go and change the first name, last name. Alright, so I'll put the first name as John, second one I'll put as John Smith. Now we come to the actual nickname, and you can change this. So when we set up, by the default, the nickname which is required becomes exactly the same as the username. So my username was WordPress, and therefore my nickname is WordPress as well. Now we'll change this, and I'll put this as John Smith. And when I come down to the second option, display name, I can actually choose from John Smith, or Smith John, or the one I had set by the default, which was WordPress. Okay, so I can choose any of these combinations, and I'll actually go for John Smith. Now whenever I write something, whenever I post a comment, wherever I actually go and post a new topic or something, whenever I make any change, this will be the name that's going to be displayed. So to the outside world that's visiting my page, I'll be known as John Smith. Alright, the email, I can actually go ahead and change the email here. So this is the email that I have typed in when I was setting up WordPress. I can go ahead and I can just change that if I wish. The next option is the website. So here you will actually put the actual URL of the website. In my case, that's I think it's a WordPress for shoot.net WordPress.net 76.net, and I'll just put http www. Okay, so this is the actual website that I'm building, and then I can actually go and write something about myself. So biographical info, you can put any sort of info that you would like here to be actually shown, and this actually can be shown as public. So whatever you would like to write here. So for example, I would just put something like, hello, I am the admin of this site, and the aim of this site is to make some video tutorials on WordPress 4. Okay, then I can actually go here and I can type in the new password if I wanted to, and there is the strength indicator here, so I can type in maybe just some letters, for example. Let's go something like this, and I will get that this is very weak. As soon as I put in some numbers and some capital letters and a few other characters, this becomes medium, strong, and everything else. If you're really worried about the security and the passwords, I would strongly suggest that you actually go ahead and you get something that's called a random password generator. So what that will do, you can actually choose between how many characters, and I think the lowest number of characters that this generator will produce is 8. So you can go 8, 16, and 32, I believe. And if you want, you can always use that, and that will just generate random characters, and you can use that as well. But once again, you have to make sure that if you do use that, you actually have that written somewhere, because you're not going to remember that password. So it's a good thing to use if you're worried about the actual security of your site. So if you're worried that somebody else might actually guess your password and log in as the admin and change your web page, go ahead and use that. And also, this is good if you think that your site might sometimes become a victim to hackers and stuff like that. If you use the random password generator, this will actually take care of that as much as possible. Okay, so this is basically all that we have to do in order to set up the profile for basically any sort of a user. And in this particular case, we are talking about the admin, so the person who's going to be editing, who's going to be changing and building this website. In this case, that's myself. Okay, once all that is done, I'll just hit on update profile, and straight ahead you will see that this message here has now changed to Howdy John Smith instead of like it was before, Howdy WordPress. Alright, so the other thing that we can actually see here is the help button here, and this is really good when you're starting to work with WordPress. And basically you can go and check and click on this help. It's pretty much available on all pages, and it will give you some information, some help regarding that particular page you're working on. So whether that'll be, like in this case, a profile editor for the admin, or whatever you might be working on, it will actually give you some help here and some information how to go about, changing the links and whatnot. Alright, so this was a very quick tutorial on how to go about setting up, first and most important, the actual user profile, the admin profile. And I would strongly suggest you do this before you actually go into building the web page. So once again, you will log in as the admin, you will come to the what's called the profile page, so your profile, and here you have all the options. As soon as you hit on the update profile, you will actually see that it will change, and from now on you'll be known to the outside world as John Smith in my case, and once again you can actually see that account is actually called WordPress, which I have created when I was setting up the WordPress at the beginning. Okay, so once we have set all the information for the admin, we can actually go ahead and have a look at the other options, which we will do in the videos following this one. As the first thing that pops to many people's minds is blogging. Basically, this is true because WordPress was originally designed to be a software that will enable an easier way of creating blogs and posts. Okay, so in this tutorial we'll have a look how to create some new blogs, or how to create some new posts, how to enter some comments, and how to categorize those posts in different categories. Okay, so this is the front end of my page. This is the page that anyone that types in my URL can see, and by the default there's only one post here, and it's actually saying hello world. Okay, I've logged in as the admin, and therefore I have the edit button here. If I was just a regular user, or the user who has not actually written this post, I would not be able to have this edit button. Also, I can see here that the date was the 20th of November when this was actually created, and that there is only one comment. Also, there's the message, the body of the message: welcome to the WordPress, this is your first post, edit or delete it when start blogging. I can click on comment and I can actually see the comment. So Mr. WordPress has actually said, hi, this is a comment. To delete a comment, just log in and view the post comments. There you will have the option to delete or to edit or delete them, and basically I can go here and write some comments. So this is basically how the whole blogging and commenting works. There's a text, the body of the message. So for example, if you're writing about some particular event, so maybe you're writing about some particular fair that you attended to, that your company has attended to, you will put some information here, and then people who are visiting your page, who are actually members, can come here, and after they're logged in, they can actually write some comments. Okay, so this is the front end of the page. Like I've said, this is where all the users will come and look at your blogs. And let's go back now to the back end. Alright, so this is the backend. We have seen this before, and a couple of things you can do here. And first of all, let's go and just avoid all the shortcuts and see how we will go about editing and posting new posts. Alright, on the left hand side, the main menu, there's the posts menu, and it will give you all posts, add new categories and tag. Okay, if we click on post, we'll come to this. Okay, so by the default it will give all the posts that are currently on the web page. So there's only one, and this is the one we have actually seen, hello world. Okay, as the admin I can go and edit it, I can delete it, and I can just view it. Alright, let's go into edit, and our new page will open up, which will have all the information about this particular blog. As you can see, I'll just wait for it to load. Okay, so this is the text that's actually written here. Okay, so this is the body of the message, and we can actually edit that as well. We can also edit the title, because I am the admin, and I can change that. The good thing about WordPress 4, and something that it's actually new, in the previous WordPress versions, when you actually have a long page here, when you have a long text, you would actually have to go and scroll here, and this top menu bar will disappear. Okay, so what I've done, people at WordPress, so for example, if I was to write something like this all the way down here, as you can see, it doesn't matter how far down I go, how far down I scroll, the top menu will always be here. It will always be available here, so I can actually insert stuff here rather than to actually scrolling back and actually clicking on whatever that I need. So this is something new to WordPress 4. Previous versions did not have this. Okay, so this is how you will go about editing an existing post in WordPress 4. Of course, this is the visual. You can always click on text, and this will give you actually some HTML code, which is actually it converts straight away from the visual to the HTML code. And let's go and first of all edit this text here, and I'm going to say, and this is my first blog. I have just changed some of the text in the body of this blog. Okay, so once I typed all that, on the right hand side I have a publish menu. So here I can set the status. Currently it's set as published. If I hit on edit, I can actually go published, pending review, or draft. I would like this to be published. Visibility, who can see this? I will make everyone see that. So I'll hit on OK, and I will not change that. Today's date and the update, and move to trash button. Alright, if I hit on update, and once this is actually done, when I go back to my front page, and when I refresh this page, I will see that this message here has actually changed to what I've changed it to. Okay, and this is me, I've changed it, and still got one comment only, and we can still edit this as I'm logged in as the admin of this page. Okay, so this is basically how you will go about editing a post that's already existing. And also on the right hand side you have the format here. There's the standard, a site, image, video, audio, quote, link, and gallery. And this is the categories, and this is something we'll have a look a bit more later. And if I was to update this once more, and let's go to the front page, and I'll refresh it, and we'll see the changes. Okay, so now it's actually gone aside. So basically it's when you have more stuff here, you'll see a lot of changes. But for this particular example, because I do not have any other text here, it just doesn't look as much as it should, the difference. But you can actually see that it's actually changed the format of this post. Alright, so let's go back. At the bottom, like I said, there's the categories, there's the tags, and there's some feature images. Okay, before we actually go into creating new posts, let's go and create some more categories. Now you can categorize all of your posts into many different categories, and basically you can go and just create those categories, you know, randomly how you want it. So once the page actually loads up, I'll go ahead and I'll create maybe 1 or 2 categories, and then I'll add some new posts and insert some media and some text as well. Alright, so here I am at the categories page. I can say that it's been divided into the left hand side and the right hand side. On the right hand side, first of all, there's the screen options right at the top. Once again, if we click on it, we'll actually see what kind of screen options we have here. So basically, like I said, all of this is divided into some little categories, and basically for the categories screen we have the description, something that's called slug, and a count. We can always get rid of this, so by just clicking on it, it will straight away disappear. And this is how you will actually go about setting up what you see on your screen. Okay, on the right hand side we have something that we've seen before. So basically this is the list of all the categories, and you can actually select, for example, this one, and just go delete or whatever you want to do with it. And there's the search categories option here as well, and on the left hand side is where you will go about creating your new categories. So for example, if I'm running a computer website and maybe I have many different categories, I can maybe call this category a hardware. Now for the slug, this is the URL that's friendly, and usually you can just type anything you want in here, and I'll just go hardware. Parent, this is if you want to have a parent directory. So this, if I was select uncategorized, that means that my new category, which is called the hardware, would be under the uncategorized category, which I do not want to do. I'll just go none, and here I'll just type in some description. So I will go. Okay, so I went ahead and I just typed this category is to hold all hardware posts and blogs on this site. Basically, this is anything that will describe this category into more details. Like you can see here, uncategorized has got no description, and it's uncategorized, and the count is only 1. Okay, let's go ahead and add this category. There it is. Alright, I'll go ahead and I'll do this. I'll add another category. Parent directory none. Description. Actually, I'll just go and copy this, and instead of hardware I'll put software. and I'll hit on add new category, and there it is. Okay, so we have two categories, software and hardware, and what I'll do with this one, I'll go and I'll edit this one, and instead of being uncategorized, what I will do is I will write computers. We'll go parent none, description. This category is to hold all hardware and software posts and blogs of this site. If I go update, my uncategorized will now change to computers, and I can select those two, and actually what I'll do is I unselect them all and I'll go on edit for the hardware, and I'll actually change it this parent to computers. I'll hit on update, and I will do exactly the same with the software. I will change it to computers and update. Okay, so now we have created one category which is called computers and two subcategories which are called hardware and software. Okay, so let's go to the main menu here. Under posts, we'll actually go add new. So we are now creating a new post. We'll put the title here. So let's say that we're talking about the WordPress 4, and I'll actually write that. This is my title, and here I will write WordPress 4 has made it really easy to create new web pages. WordPress 4 is fun. And what I'll do now is I'll actually go and I'll insert some media. Okay, so I'll click on media. You can enter any sort of a file. You can upload it using this this little window here, or you can actually insert from URL. Okay, so let's go ahead. We'll insert some URL, and what I'll do is I'll go to YouTube, and this is basically some video about what to expect from WordPress 4. And what I will do, I will simply copy this address, and I will go back here and I will enter it. And this is something new to WordPress 4. Straight ahead, WordPress 4 will go to this URL that you have typed in, and it will actually embed this video. So once again, this is something new with WordPress 4, and it's totally different from WordPress 3 and other versions. Okay, so once I've done that, I can go and hit onto this button here, insert into post. Okay, so I've added some text, I added some media, and the media will be displayed here straight away. And the good thing is actually you can play the media straight from here, as you will see. Okay, once it loads up, you can actually hit on this play button and it will actually start this particular media, this particular movie. You can also go and edit it, and you can actually just remove it from here. Okay, so what I'll do now is I will go to the format and I will put video. In the categories, I'm going to say this is a software, and for the tags I can put a lot of tags. So this is something for the CEO of the site, and I'll just put WordPress 4. And once all that is done, I will hit on publish. But before I do that, I can go and change this status from draft to pending review. I will actually leave it as draft. Visibility, I will make everybody see this. So go OK and publish immediately. Also, I can just save a draft and then come back and actually change all the stuff that I want to change, or I can just go preview. Alright, so I've done that. I'm happy with how it looks, and I'll go on publish. Okay, so I've inserted that post, and let's go back now to the front page and let's just refresh this. On the front page, I can actually see that under the recent posts there is WordPress 4 and Hello World. Hello World is the one we previously had, so let's click on WordPress 4. And the new actual post or blog that we have just submitted will actually appear here. Okay, so we have the embedded video here, we have the text here, and also we can have a look at the previous post here as well and leave some comments. Of course, if I wanted to play this, I can just hit on it, and this will actually start playing this particular video within this page, rather than actually going and opening a new window where the video, in this case YouTube, would be displayed. Okay, so basically we have covered all of it, all of the available options within the post section of the WordPress 4. Once again, it's quite easy to insert any sort of a media here, like this wasn't before this wasn't the case. Of course, you have all the available options. You have the options to toggle the toolbar. You have the insert, read more tags. You can make the text bold, italic. You can add some quotations. You can align that and actually enter some links. Okay, so this is how you will actually go about inserting a very basic post, a very basic blog onto your web page, and we have actually seen how to see those under the recent posts here.
WordPress has started as a blogging software, which will actually enable your sites to be interactive. So what that actually means is that your users, your visitors can actually go and leave comments and actually post some new articles and posts. Okay, so as such software, it will have some settings, and in this video tutorial we'll actually go and look at those settings. Okay, I'll log back into my website and I'm at the back end, and on the main menu I'll actually find settings, under which of general, writing, reading, discussion, media and permalinks. If I was to click on settings, this will actually open a general settings page, and here we actually have some of the information we have seen before. So this is the actual title of the web page. So it's web, for my case it's just WordPress tutorials, and there is a tagline. So here I can just write WordPress tutorials, actually put WordPress 4 tutorials online. Okay, so there is the WordPress URL, there's the site URL and email, which we have seen before. The membership, anyone can register, true. Membership, new user database role, we'll put this as, well, it depends, you can put it as a contributor, author, editor or administrator. There's the time zone, you can select your time zone, the default date format, time format, and the day on which week starts, which in this case is set to Monday by default, and I'll leave it as it is. The last option here is site language, and this is something that's new to WordPress 4. By actually coming into these settings, you can actually set the language for your particular site depending on which language you have actually installed. At the moment, in my case, I only have English United States, and I will leave it as English United States. When you actually download different themes with different languages, you can actually change those languages here as well. Okay, going to writing. In the writing settings, you'll find a lot of options when it comes to formatting and how you actually post different comments and articles and whatnot. The very first option here will actually convert those 3 characters, smiley faces, into the graphical images, and I will leave this as enabled. The second option here is to do with the nested XHTML, and I will leave it as unchecked at the moment. Then we will actually come to the default post category, and as you remember in the last tutorial, we have created those subcategories and a category. So by default, I want all of my articles to go into this category computers. Otherwise, you can actually, if you remember, select which category you would like your content to go under. Also, as we have seen before, there is a post format, and by default it's set to standard, but you can actually go and create a chat looking online site, which will of course be created by actually choosing chat as post format, gallery link, images, quotes, status, and a few others, video and actually audio. Okay, the next section here is to do with press this button, and you can find some information while reading this couple of sentences here. And the last option within the writing section is post via email. So basically what this does is, you can set an account and enter all the information here, and you can post to WordPress by actually just signing into that email and just typing in your stuff in there and sending it. Okay, so be very careful with this, because if you receive some sort of a junk email, it will actually be posted as a new post on your web page. The last option here is to do with the update services, and at the moment, because of my visibility settings, I'm not receiving any update services. Okay, once you have checked and edited all this, make sure you click on save changes. Okay, going down the list on the settings
tab, we'll find reading. If we were to click on reading, we'll find that it will actually open a reading settings page. The very first option here at the top is to do with the front page displayed. So what this basically means, if I was to go onto my front end, as you can see at the moment I have the latest post that's actually been posted, and this is to do with this particular setting here. So you can actually choose this one, the first option, which is set by a default, or you can actually click on a static page and then choose the front page. I'll leave it as a sample page, and for the post page I'll actually leave it as the default. So if I was to actually hit on save changes and I go to the front end and I actually refresh my page, instead of this articles, the posts, I will actually get this simple page, which you can of course change later and adjust it to your needs. Also, when you actually go into creating pages and you create more pages, when you come here, this drop down menu will actually have all of the pages that you currently have. Alright, then it comes to the blog pages that we can have. So we can have at most 10, you can change that to 11, 12 or any number, but I think 10 is by the default, it's usually the best number. And then you will count to how many times the syndication feeds is to show on the most recent. Okay, the next option down will actually show and edit how we actually display our feeds. So what that actually means, if I was to go back and if I had this actually set to my latest post, let's save that and let's refresh the page. Okay, so that last bit, so I'm talking about this bit here, is to do with how this is being displayed. Now, because I have a very small paragraph here, I only have 2 sentences, we can actually show everything, or we can actually go and full text. This will actually show everything. So in my case I only have 2 sentences, but if this text was a lot larger, which would cover a big area, what I can do is I can set it to summary, and in that case, instead of a full page being displayed of text, it will just have some summary. So it will maybe have a couple of the first sentences, and then it would have some sort of a read more button, and when that button is pressed, it will actually go and open that particular article. Okay, the last option here is to do with the search engine visibility, and let's say that we're happy with this, and I'll hit on save changes. Moving down the list, we'll come to the discussion options, and there's a lot of options here that are pretty much self-explanatory. There's a couple of options to do with the default article settings, other comment settings, email settings, and what happens when a comment is posted and whatnot. So let's start at the beginning. Default article settings, attempt to notify any blogs linked to from the articles. I will leave this as unchecked. Basically, you can go through all of these settings and actually see which settings you think would be the best for your site. Now, coming to the other comment settings, the first option here is actually saying that the author must fill out their username and email. I think this is unnecessary because we have this option here, and by the default actually this will come as checked, and the second option will come as unchecked. I would much rather have the users, you know, log in, first of all register and then log in order to post comments, then actually have them just type in their username and email. Okay, then we have the options to automatically close the comments after so many days. Once again, depends on how busy your site is. You can enable or disable this. As for the second and as for the next option here, which is actually to do with comments, at the moment it's actually at 8. So basically what this says, you will have the first comment, and after that you can have another 7 comments which are nested, and this is good because people can leave comments on other people's comments. So if this is something that you would like, you can choose think up to 10, and you can have 10 different levels. This option here is, I think, pretty self-explanatory, and what I like to do is I always like to put my new comments right at the top. Okay, so those comments will be displayed at the top, and down the bottom the older comments will be displayed. Okay, so the next option here is to do with emails. So basically what it says, email me whenever anyone posts a comment is held for moderation. Now if there is a comment that needs to be moderated, which actually has to do with the next option here, before a comment appears, comment must be manually approved, and comment a comment author must have previously approved comments. I will not use this, so I will not enable it. I'll actually keep this as disabled, and I will like all the comments to be manually approved. And then I come back to this one, which is actually saying when somebody actually posts a comment and it's actually awaiting manual approve, I would like to get an email, which actually makes sense. When a comment is held for the moderation, it actually goes into something that's called a moderation queue. Now the WordPress can actually automatically recognize some of those comments, and it can actually put it into this queue as well. So if I was to actually disable this one, I can actually come to this bit here, comment moderation, and actually enter some information here. The first information that I'll need to enter is how many links can a comment contain. Now if there's a lot of hyperlinks, it means usually that this is a spam comment, and I will not like it to appear on my page, and it will actually go into that moderation queue, and it will actually wait for the moderator to approve it. Alright, then you can actually come to this box here, and you can actually enter some words that can contain some, you know, names or URLs, emails, or even IP addresses that you would like to actually go. If a comment has those words, you will actually like to have that actually checked before it actually appears as a comment. Okay, so you can enter all of that information here. Then we'll come to the comment blacklist. This is the words that are not to be used in comments. You can enter all of these words, and actually it will be marked as spam and not published. Then we come to the avatar. So basically this is the graphical representation of each user. Now you can show or not show avatars. Choose show, and then you can actually set the maximum ratings. You can set G, GPR, or X. Alright, so the last option here would actually have to do with the default avatar, and you can choose, you know, Mr. Mayor blank, or actually you can enable the grabber option here and a few others. And of course you would have to have an account set up with grabber.com in this case, or any of the other services. Okay, once all that is done, hitting on save changes would save the changes. Going to media. In the media settings, we'll find, as the name suggests, all the information and settings about the media. We'll find the thumbnail sizes, which we can change, the width and the height. We can actually choose the medium size, the large size, and the last option here is to do with uploading the files and how they're actually organized. As the option here, it's actually saying organize my uploads into month and yearly basis folder. I think this is a good idea, and I think you should leave it as enabled. Coming to the last option here, permalinks. We'll find information about permalinks, and basically here you would have how those are displayed. So common settings, whether you want it by default, which is just as it is. It doesn't give any information, as you can see, question mark p equals 123, or you can actually have some more meaningful names such as date and name, month and name, numeric, post name, and actually you can go and customize your own structure. Alright, and down the bottom you'll actually come to the category base and tag base. Once you have actually filled in all the information and chosen the actual permalink that you would like, how you would like to appear, you can actually hit on save changes, and that will actually save all of the changes. So basically we have gone through very basic settings and how to go about setting those settings, from general to writing, reading, discussion, media, and permalinks. Before you actually start building your web page, I think it's a good idea to actually go ahead and actually set up all of these settings, as we have done in this video tutorial. Elements you have to have on your web page is of course media. Under media you can have many different pictures, many different videos or sounds. So let's go ahead now and see what we can do with media when it comes to WordPress 4. On the main menu, so this is the backend. On the main menu you'll find the menu here, media, under which you will have the library and add new item. Now you can click on the library or add new item, or just click on media, and this will actually open the main page for the media. Here you find all the information about the medias you currently have in your library. At the moment I don't have any, and that's why it's actually displaying here no media attachments found. The good thing that's actually been introduced to WordPress 4 is this bit here, as you can actually have a look at all of your media files either in a grid way, or you can actually have it as it was before, which was just a list. Okay, here you also have filters like we had before. So at the moment I do not have any medias and therefore cannot apply any filters, but let's go back to the grid view. And also here I can choose whether I want to display the images, audio, video, or just the attached. Also I can choose by the dates, and because I do not have any media at the moment, that's why all dates is displayed as the only option. Okay, so let's go ahead and actually add some new media. Also you can see that there's a search bar here, so you can actually type a file that you're looking for. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's add some new items, and to do that we can actually go to the main menu and click on add new, or we can actually just click on this button here which says add new. When we do that, a new window or a new segment of a window will pop up like this, and basically there are two options that you can use to upload the files from the hard drive. The first one is you can click on this big select files button, or actually you can just drag and drop all the files that you want. Alright, so what I will do is actually I'll drag and drop, and I have some images here which I would like to use. They're just some computer images, and I can just drag them and drop it. And I can see that my file is already uploaded, and I'll do the same with the other two images. Alright, so those are the files that I have just uploaded, and if I was to go to the list view, I can see that now in my library I have 3 items. Those are all JPEGs, except for the first one is PNG actually, and I have some information here. So basically I have the author who's uploaded this, where it's actually been uploaded to, I have the comments, so I have 0 comments, and the date when this was actually done. When I hover over each of these items, I'll get the menu as edit, delete permanently, and view. So if I was to hit on edit, I would actually go into the settings of this particular image. Okay, so first of all I would get the name, so I can change the name. So instead of going WordPress, I can put icon WordPress, for example. Then I can enter some caption, some description, icon for WordPress, alternative text, I'll just put icon, and I can actually put some description here as well. On the right hand side I actually have a bit more information where the file is located, so this is the URL of the file. I have the name as it was previously known as, but as you can see I've actually changed it to icon_WP, and I actually have the file type, the size, and the dimensions. I can click on update and this will actually save these changes, and I'll do that. So I'll hit on update. And if I go back to media library, I will actually see that this has actually been changed now. Okay, if I go to attach, what I'm doing here is that I'm attaching this particular image to some of the posts. So I have the title, so here's the WordPress 4 post that I have just created in the previous tutorial, and I also have some pages, so I can attach this particular image to any of the pages that are currently available or any of the actual posts. So let's go ahead and I'll put it on WordPress, and I will hit on select. Okay, now you can see that it's actually been changed. This is uploaded to WordPress 4, and WordPress 4 is actually the blog that I have just created before, or the post. And actually what I will do now is I'll go back to that particular post. So I'll go posts, view all posts, and here's the one that I've been talking about. This is the one that I created in the previous tutorial, video tutorial, and I'll go and edit. This will now open the edit window, and just below my video that I have just embedded into this post, I will actually insert my file, my actual picture. To do that, I will hit on add media, and straight ahead I will have this media library here, which is all the files that I have uploaded to the server. And also, before we actually went into insert from URL, which is the case when we actually inserted the video, this time we'll actually insert one of the images, and I'm going to insert maybe this one here because this particular post is talking about WordPress, and I will go and hit on insert into post. Okay, so once this is done, I will hit on actually standard. I'll change it to standard format, and I will hit on update. When I go back to my page now and I refresh it, this image will now appear here as I have just inserted it. Okay, so basically when you go to the media, you have a library where all of your items, all of your graphical representation and also videos and sounds are actually loaded to. Basically you upload all the files here from your computer or from any other place on the internet. Then you can use those files within your homepage, and this is how you would go about actually uploading and using the images. Okay, so now let's go ahead and see what we get when we actually view this as a grid. So we do not get all the informations that we had under the list. However, if we click on it, we can actually get all the information that we can actually find about this particular image. Of course, we get all the stuff that we had before, the URL which cannot be changed, the title, caption, alternative text, and the description. Who this is actually being uploaded by, so John Smith, which is in this case the administrator, and where it's actually being uploaded to. Up the top we'll have some more information such as the file name, file type, uploaded, the date, file size, and the dimensions. If we hit on the edit image, we'll get some very basic image editor. So here we can actually go ahead and we can actually flip horizontally this image, and we can actually flip it horizontally. Sorry, this was flip it vertically, and then we can actually go and flip it horizontally as well. Also, we can rotate the image, we can actually cut some portions of the image out, and we can actually use these little arrows here to go back and to actually go forwards. Okay, so once you're actually happy with how this is looking, and in my case this cannot be done, so what I'll do is I'll just go back one more time. Alright, so once you're happy with how this is looking, if you have made any changes, you can click on save. Also, you can go to the right hand side, and here you find some scale image. So basically this is how you would scale your image. You will get the original dimensions, and you can actually enter some different values here as well. Also, you can crop the image and enter the information here, and basically you will get all of the settings here as well. Then there is the apply changes to option here, so whether or not you want to apply this to the all image sizes, just the thumbnail, all the size, all the sizes except the thumbnail. So I'll just leave it as all the image sizes, and I would hit on save. Okay, so this is a very basic image editor, but you can see that it gives some options as to, you know, rotate and actually flip the images and also set different sizes. Okay, so let's go back to the list view now, and then what we can do is maybe we can select two of these files, and then you have the bulk action here, so you can actually choose what you want to do. So maybe you want to delete those two permanently, and by selecting that from the drop down menu and clicking on apply, this would apply to those two images. Alright, so here we can also choose images or unattached. If we go to the unattached, we'll actually only have two files there, and those are going to be the last two files, those two files, because the first one we've actually attached to the post called WordPress 4. Okay, so all of those are images, and we can just click on images, and this little number 3 represents the number of items available for that particular category images. Okay, and I'll hit on filter, and once again I'll have all three items here. Also, all dates. December 2014 is when I uploaded those files, and therefore there's a category December 2014 here as well. Okay, I can actually go and search, and if I was to put file name of my particular, for example, image that I'm looking for, so maybe I'll go with computer 2, and I hit enter, I would actually get only that image there. Okay, there it is. Let's get rid of this and hit on enter, and once again this should display all of the images that are currently available. Okay, right at the top, like on the other pages, we have the screen options. So on the screen options we can actually select which parts of this page are to be shown. So we have the author, we can get rid of the author, we can get rid of the uploaded to, we can get rid of the comments and the date as well. Alright, so I'll put those back in, as I think it's a good idea to have them, and we can actually have the maximum number of medias shown. Okay, by clicking on apply, this will actually save the changes. Alright, so this is basically how you would go about uploading all the files into your library, media library, and from the media library you can use those in your posts, in your pages, and whenever you're working with WordPress. The next option we'll have a look at is actually the pages. So under the main menu on the dashboard we'll find a link to pages, and we have, like just before with media, we have library and new items. With the pages we have all pages and add new. However, when we click on pages we will get the main page for this option, where we actually have a list of all the pages currently available on our server. At the moment I only have one, which is called a simple page, and I can actually go and edit it, I can quick edit it, I can delete it, and I can view it. Alright, up the top I have the number of all pages, which is 1, and I have the number of published pages, which once again is just one page, which is this sample page. Like with the media files, I can actually select many of them, and I can either edit or move to trash them, and if I choose any of these I can actually hit on apply, and those pages will be moved once they have been selected by clicking this checkbox here, like so. Moving a bit to the right we have a filter. So if I was to filter all of my pages I would have some actual categories here, and I'll have the November 2014 and December 2014 filters, and I can choose that and hit on filter, and this will actually filter and show only the pages that have been created on the December of the year 2014. Moving along the side I have the author's name, which in this case is myself, John Smith, who is also the actual administrator. Next to it I have the comments and the date when this page was actually created and published. So basically this option for the pages, the view of the pages, is pretty much the same as it is for the media library, as it will give you some sort of a description about the page, so such as the name. It will give you some options here for editing and viewing and deleting it, and right at the top you have the option to actually go ahead and add new pages. Okay, so we'll do that. To add a new page you can either click on this link here, add new, or you can actually go to the main menu and you'll find add new here as well. So let's click on add new, and we're going to be presented with an editor that looks like this, which is exactly the same as it is for the posts, or at least it looks exactly the same. At the top we'll have a title, so maybe we'll put welcome page title. So this is going to be the title of our page. And let's move to the right now, and we can have a publish option here, so we can either save this as a draft, we can preview it. There is the status here, we can edit this, and from draft we can actually go pending review. Just under that we have the visibility. We can make it visible to anyone, we can make it actually password protected, or we can make it private as well. Now when we actually make it password protected, only people who have the password can actually enter this site, and under private we'll actually only make sure that some people have access to this particular page. Okay, I will actually leave it as public, as this is a welcome page. And the last option here we have publish this page either immediately, or we can actually choose the date when this will be published. Okay, so this is actually a good idea when you, for example, running a online store, and then you decide that maybe on the December 31st, for example, you would have some sort of a special, and then you can actually set the date here when that special would be actually published. And also you can move this to trash, or basically just delete it. Okay, moving down a bit, we'll have a page attributes, and what this means is that we can choose whether this page is going to stand on its own, or it will actually be part of a parent directory. In this case we only have a sample page, however I think that welcome page should be on its own. And the next section is to do with the templates, and this basically depends on which kind of templates you have actually installed into WordPress, and there might be many different options here. So at the moment I only have two, so let's go with the full width page, and as for the order we'll just leave it as 0. Alright, then we can go and we can actually set the featured image. To do that we'll hit on this link here, and from the media library we'll choose one of the images. Let's choose for example this one, and we'll put that one there. Okay, Going back to the editor, basically we can enter all of the information here that we would like to, as we did with the posts. So we can enter any sort of a text, we can enter any sort of a media file such as the pictures, we can enter some videos, we can enter some URLs which will actually embed the videos into this page, and we can enter some other stuff as well. Alright, if you're familiar with the coding language, you can always change from visual to text, and here you can actually write all of your codes. Okay, going back to visual, what I will do here is I'm just going to write some text. Alright, so I've written some text. Welcome to WordPress 4 video tutorials. Here you'll find videos on WordPress 4 which have been designed to help you build your web page easier with WordPress 4. As you can see, it's actually got a spell check and it's actually saying that it doesn't recognize this word WordPress, and this is because I actually got this into English, and if you wanted to change that, you will actually go and change the language of the page and this will actually disappear. If I was to enter some other language here, for example, or if I actually made a mistake, all of this will be underlined, meaning that the spell check has actually found some errors and it will actually highlight or underline those as well. Okay, so let's insert some media here, for example, and from my media library I will choose, let's choose this little computer, and I will insert that. And one option that we haven't seen in the toolbar is actual this toolbar toggle, and if you click on that you'll have some more information, and basically you can insert the headings, so heading 1, heading 2 and whatnot. You can actually underline those texts. So for example, I can underline WordPress here and WordPress here. You can actually justify this, so I can select it as it is, and if I hit on it, it will actually be like so, or I can actually go and just write justify like that. I can go left or in the center as well. The next option here is the text color. So let's say, for example, I want to change this color here and I want to make it red, and I will do it just like that. Then there is the paste text, there is also clear formatting, there is some special characters here as well. Then you can actually indent the pages and you can actually undo it as well. Okay, so basically you will get some sort of a editor that we're basically used to, and also you can apply this to the images as well. So if I was to select this image, I can click here and the image would actually be shifted to the right hand side and it would actually be right justified. I can also go and insert a link, and then I can actually insert read more tag. So basically what I'll do is come here and I will insert read more tag, and we'll see what this does in just 1 second. Okay, so let's say that we're happy with the page, how it's looking at the moment. So the next thing we will have to do is actually hit on publish right here, or actually we can hit on save draft and come back to it later and adjust a few things, or we can actually go and just preview it. What I will do is I'll publish this page. Alright, and what I'll do now is actually I will go back to the settings. This is something that we did in the previous video tutorial or the video tutorial before, and I'll go into reading, and here I will select a static page and I will actually choose for my front page to be the welcome page. Okay, so basically the page that I've just created will now be displayed whenever the user types in my URL. Okay, and I will put this as a summary and click on save changes. Okay, going back to the page, this is what we had to begin with, and now that I've actually changed that, this page should actually disappear and the welcome page should appear here as the start page. Alright, so let me refresh it. Alright, and here it is. This is my start page, the welcoming page, and all the information that I have actually entered is here. So I've actually entered some of the information here. I've changed the font, I actually changed the color, I've underlined some of it, and I actually inserted a image here, and as you can see it's actually an link. So if I click on it, I will actually get the image by itself. Okay, going back, by the default I have actually enabled the comments, so basically it will say here logged in as such user. My name is John Smith. Do you want to log out? No. And I will post a comment. Okay, I've typed in, this is just a comment on the welcome page, and I will hit on post comment. There's the comment I have just entered, and I can actually go and reply to that as well. Now, because I've actually entered logged in as the admin of this page, I can edit the page by clicking on edit, and this will take me back now to the same page that we were on just previously. So here I'll have all the information, and I can go ahead and edit those as needed. So let's, for example, say that I'll center this, and I'll actually just go ahead and I'll copy this text here and paste it here, just so that we can see some changes. And I'll make this actually, I'll make it all the same color, and I'll make it, for example, blue. Okay, and I'll hit on update. Alright, so now when I actually go to my page, I should see all this information there, and it should be updated as it currently is. Okay, so this is how you go about actually creating new page. And let's go back now to the all pages option here, and as you can see, I have a new page which is called welcome page, and I have some information about it, that it's been created by John Smith, that it's got one comment on it. So if I hit on comment, I will actually be presented with a particular comment, and I can get all the information about the user who's actually submitted the comment and the comment itself, and I can unapprove, I can reply, I can edit it, and I can mark it as spam and trash it as well. Right at the top I'll actually have some of the options, and all of this will be covered in one of the tutorials following this one when we actually come to this option comments. So building up new pages and creating new pages within WordPress 4 is quite easy and simple, and basically as soon as you build it, you can actually publish it, and those pages will be available for your visitors to actually have a look at. WordPress started as a blogging platform for web creation, and as such platform it's usually good to have some sort of a feedback from the people who are actually viewing your page. So the best way is actually to allow your visitors or your users to actually have a look and actually reply to your text and to your posts. So this is something that WordPress has done really great. So we're talking about the comments here, and for example, this is a blog, so this is my post, and here I have one comment that I've just made before. So this is just an example. So this is a comment on the welcome page, and to leave a comment like we have seen before, we will come to the bottom of a particular post, and we can actually write our comments in here. So in this video tutorial we'll have a look at the comments, how we can actually edit them, how we can approve and unapprove the comments, and what we can do with comments in general. Okay, so what I've done, I've logged back into my dashboard. Here it is, and on the main menu just under the pages, which we have seen in the previous tutorial, we actually have comments. When we click on comments, the main page for the comments like this is going to be displayed, and here all of the comments will be listed. At the moment I only have 2 comments, so this is the one that I've made, and this is the one that actually comes default by WordPress. So when you install WordPress, you will have one comment just like this. So let's have a look at the first comment here that I have inserted. Okay, so basically I will get the information who's this comment submitted by. I will actually have the web page, and I'll actually have the email and the IP address. Also to the right I'll have a date when it was actually submitted and the time, and I'll have the comment written there as well. Just down below that I'll have some menus. The first one is unapprove, reply, quick edit, edit, spam and trash. All the way to the right I can actually see where this is actually, it's on the welcome page, and if I click here I would actually be taken to that particular page where this comment has actually been posted. The number 1 here actually reveals whether something is pending for this particular comment or not. Okay, right at the top I have the all option, which obviously displays all of the comments submitted on the web page. There's the pending option, or the pending section of the comments, the approved, spam and trash. So basically think of these as your folders where you can actually have all of your different comments, and if you go to the all, obviously it's just going to display all of the comments. So if I was to move, for example, this particular comment to for example spam or trash, what I need to do is I need to check it, and I will just go either at the top, there's a drop down menu, or at the bottom, and I can go mark as spam and click on apply. Okay, so now I can see that in my all folder I have only one, but if I go to the spam folder I'll also have the comment that I have just moved to this particular folder. Okay, when it's in this folder you have the option of marking it a non-spam, or you can actually delete this comment permanently. Okay, if I click on not spam, this will actually move it back to the all comments. Alright, so if you used any sort of a email online, such as Hotmail or Gmail or anything else, when you have different folders, well, this is basically the same. So you have different folders and you can move your messages from one folder to another folder and whatnot. So that's the option that we get with the comments with WordPress 4, and also we can go and reply, and we can quick edit it, we can edit it, like I said, spam and trash it. Should I go and trash it, this will actually go into my trash folder, and I'll do that. Now when I go to trash, I'll find my comment there, and I can actually say this is not trash, this is actually spam, and move it to spam. I can delete it permanently, or I can just restore it. Okay, so this is how you would go about actually moving from one particular, what I like to call a folder, although the best way is actually to think of all of this as different folders. So you have a folder where all of your messages are displayed, you have a folder for the pending, for the approved, spam and trash. Alright, so what I will do now is I will go to this particular one and I will hit on reply, and basically I'm replying to this particular message here that John Smith has actually submitted. And a new window like this, a new section of a window will show, and right here I have a couple of the options. I can make the text bold, I can make it italic, I can put a link, or I can put a quote, like quotation for something, I can insert an image and whatnot. Even I can put some code here, and if you click on code you will get something like this, and you would write your code in here, and once again when you're finished with your code you will just hit on code again, and that actually closes this segment that's actually being recognized by the system as a code. Okay, so if you know how to do codes, you can actually go and just hit on code and then insert your code here as well. Alright, so I'm just gonna write some text here. Alright, so I've written, "Hi John, your comment is totally correct, I agree." And let's change it. So let's make John maybe bold, and let's make this totally correct italic. And as you can see, when you actually click on these little buttons here, you will actually get the code for basically what you're trying to do. So in order to actually get some text bold in HTML, you would have to put this opening strong and closing strong. This will actually make it bold. When it comes to italic, the same thing would happen, except this time you will use EM and EM closed. Alright, so I will reply and just hit on reply, and now straight away a new message will appear here, which is actually just the one we have made. So, "Hi John, your comment is totally correct, I agree." Sometimes you would actually have to approve some of the comments. So for example, if that is set in your options and a message before it's actually being displayed. So let's go back first of all to the page, and I'll refresh it. And there it is. So in this case John Smith has replied to John Smith and it's saying here, "Hi John, your comment is totally correct, I agree." So this is what we have just done, and also we can reply to this message and say, "I also agree," and just click on post comment. Also you find some of the HTML text here, so basically you can use all of these codes to actually insert here, and they will actually change, for example, the text to bold or to italics and whatnot. once you're finished with editing, you can just click on post comment, and this is also another way and the usual way you would go about commenting on somebody else's comment on your web page. Alright, now the page has been actually refreshed, and you can see that there's another comment to this comment. You can actually see how it's a bit moved to the right, meaning that this particular comment is a reply to, well, this one is replied to this one, and this one is written as a reply to this one. Alright, going back to the back end, let's go now and let's, for example, say unapprove. Okay, this message is still displayed here, although you can see that it's actually changed the color a bit, so it's almost like highlighted, and this is actually waiting the approval. Also, if we go to the pending folder, this message should be displayed there, and it should be the only message over here, the only message in this particular folder. The options here are approve, reply, quick edit, spam, and trash. Alright, so sometimes you will get a message like this and you will have to actually approve it. Once again, this is basically dependent on what kind of settings you have actually set here, whether you would like the administrator to approve all the comments before they're actually submitted, or they can be submitted straight away without any approval, which in some cases is the suggested way, although you do not kind of have direct control of what people are writing on your web page, but you can actually set some filters. So for example, you know, some bad words cannot be inserted, and if those words are inserted, that particular comment will be ignored. Alright, so this is how you will go about controlling the actual comments, and let's have a look at the options that we have on this page as well. We can actually search for comments here. There's a search box. You will type something like some of the words that you are searching for. So for example, if I'm to write I agree, and if I hit on search comments, I would get a message, a comment here that actually has that I agree bit in it. So that's this bit here. Alright, let's go back to all, and now let's have a look at the screen options here. So if we click on this button here, we'll get all the screen options here. So we can actually get the author. So this is the author here. We can get rid of the author altogether and just have the comments, or we can just have the author and get rid of the in response to, so this bit here. Alright, so basically this is pretty much all you can do with the comments at this particular stage. Like I said, WordPress has done a great job inserting this. It's a sort of a plugin that pretty much all of the themes have nowadays, that once you have actually written some sort of a post, there's the option for your users or for your members. It depends on the settings. You can actually set that anyone can just come in and write a comment on a particular post, or you can just make sure that only people who are registered within your system can actually come and leave posts. All in all, leaving comments, editing comments, moving comments, it's quite easy with WordPress. title, and this is the tagline, so I can do that. And I can actually go here and uncheck this box, and all of the actually have the front page else on the left hand side. However, with this theme you get it down the footer, down the bottom of your page at the footer. So the good thing always is, before you actually download and apply any of these themes, to actually read the information and see how the page is actually broken. So basically to see how many columns you have and what you can add where. Okay, going back to my backend, I'll go down to customize, and under customize we'll actually get the same options we have just seen before. So basically there will be a live preview here and exactly the same options which we can apply here. So the colors, the header image, the widgets, and the static front page. Alright, the one that I have just skipped before is the header image, and basically this is the header image here. Now you can choose the suggested, for this particular theme you can choose the suggested images, or you can upload your own images as well by clicking on add new image. Now randomize suggested headers means actually that these headers, well actually the headers that are available here, will be randomized, meaning that they will appear at random, and that actually means that the background here will actually change at random pace. Okay, so once you made all the changes, you can hit on save. However, I have not changed anything, and therefore I'll just hit on close. And now I will go to the widgets section. The way I like to think about the widgets section has been divided into 4 different segments. There is the available widgets on the left hand side, in the middle there is the main widget area, and there is the secondary widget area on the right hand side, and at the bottom you'll have some inactive widgets. Basically it depends on the theme and how it's been actually constructed and what are the available widgets. For this particular theme, as you can see, there is just a few widgets which you can add, and there's just a few places where you can add those widgets. Once again, it's very important to see how the page is broken up, so we can see that for this particular theme we can add some widgets right at the footer, and we can add some widgets at the sidebar. What that means is that we can go here all the way down the bottom, we can change this, and we can actually go on the right hand side here and add widgets. Okay, let's go. With the main widget area, position 1, I'll hit on save widget. I'll go back to my page and I'll refresh it, and now I'll get the actual text that are written there, search the site. Okay, I'll go back here and now add a new widget to the main area. So we're talking still about the footer, and what I would like to add at the footer is, for example, I would like to maybe enter, let's say, a calendar. Click on the calendar, and I will write the title here as calendar, and then I have the option here where I would like this to be positioned. Now there's the main widget area, which we know is of course the footer of the page, and there's also the secondary widget area and inactive widget. Okay, I'll leave it as main widget area, and I would like to put it at position 1. So I know that search, this bit here, was at position 1, and now when I insert my new calendar, it will actually override that and push search to be at position number 2. Straight ahead I can see that my calendar has been added to the list of the main widgets, in the main widget area. Okay, let me go to my web page and I will refresh this. And as you can see, my calendar now appears at the position number 1. Search has actually been moved to position number 2. In this particular way, you can add any of these widgets to the main widget area. It actually, to add widgets to the secondary widget area, you will do exactly the same. Okay, so let's say for example I would like to add a list of my site's pages. Alright, so I'll click on add, and here I can actually write the title, so I can put something like pages sort by, whether you want to sort it by the title, the order, or the ID. This is totally up to you, and if you like to exclude some of the pages, you can enter that here as well. Now what I would like to do, instead of appearing at the bottom of my page, I will actually select secondary widget area, and I will put this at the position number 1. Now position number 1 actually means that there are no other widgets at this particular area. Alright, I'll select one and I'll hit on save widget. Okay, then I can see that now in my secondary widget area I have one widget which is called pages. Should I hit on edit, I will actually be brought to the same page I was on before, and I can change the title and the position of my widget here. Okay, I'll go back and I'll go to my page, and what I will do now, scroll the way up and I will just hit on refresh. Now when the page loads up, you can see that my pages, my new widget has actually been placed here, and in this particular case I actually use the pages widget, and therefore I have the sample page and the welcome page, which are the two pages that I currently have on my server. Okay, going back, I can easily remove any of these widgets. So for example, if I did not want, let's get rid of the calendar, so I'll go and hit on edit. Alright, when the page loads up, so we're actually editing the widget called calendar, I can actually hit on delete button here, and this will delete my widget. So if I was to Okay, so if I was to go to my page and if I refresh, it is actually placed at the bottom, so second. One, I like to have it as random, and you can upload images from your computer. For this particular theme, the images are of this size, and you will be required to actually have images which are this size. If you do not have images of this size, so you can actually use some of the cropping tools to crop down those images. You can come down to the remove image and hit on the remove header image, which of course will remove this image. You can reset it and set it to the original image as well. The last option here is for the text, whether or not you would like the header and the tagline to be shown, and the color of the text. So setting up the header image for this particular theme is very straightforward, and I personally think it's good that it gives you this random option here, so you can actually randomize the actual background of the header that's being displayed. Okay, the last option then is the editor option here, and let's have a look what's available under the edit theme. Okay, this is basically all the HTML and all the actual coding that's behind the page. So if you're familiar with HTML and other programming languages, you can come here and you can change this. You can actually edit something that's called a style CSS and change how everything is looking, and on the right hand side you can actually where if you know any of the programming languages such as PHP or HTML, you can come here and actually change the appearance of your theme. So basically changing the theme with WordPress 4 is very easy. You would just have to actually select the theme that you think would apply the most to your business or the web page that you're trying to create. You have to upload it and then just custom building your web page using WordPress, apart from the widgets, themes, plugins is something that you're definitely going to be working with. There are a couple of other platforms for web-based programming which also use plugins, but WordPress has become really popular, and one of the reasons why it's so popular are actually the plugins. Now, from the back side menu you can find plugins just below the appearance, and when you hover over the plugins you'll get install plugins, add new, and the editor. Okay, so if you click on the plugins, it will bring the main page for the plugins, which is something that we already used to when it comes to WordPress, where all the plugins will be displayed in a list manner. So let's have a look what's here. First of all, we can see that this is all, meaning all plugins are to be displayed here, and this is something that's currently active, and then you have inactive link here as well. Going a bit more down, you'll actually come to the plugins. So this is a plugin, and there is the name and some description about this particular plugin. Also, you have 3 links. One is to activate, one is to edit, and the last one is to delete this particular plugin. You'll also get the version. So this is version 3.0.4, who has made this particular plugin, and you can hit on more details or view details and actually have a look at more details about this particular plugin. Also have another plugin here which is called a Hello Dolly plugin, and those 2 plugins actually come by default when you actually install WordPress 4. Also, you can select all of them and you can bulk actions. So you would select a bulk action from the drop down menu, for example activate, and you would hit on apply. When you actually do that, both of these widgets will actually be activated, but I do not want to do that, so I'll unclick it. Okay, moving to the right, you'll find the search bar here, and basically you can type in the widget you are searching for. In a case you have many different plugins, you can just search for that particular plugin by actually typing that name here. You can also set how many plugins are displayed per page, and to do that you'll have to go to the screen options, and here you can actually set the maximum number of the plugins which you would like to display. Also, you can select or deselect the description, but I would strongly suggest you leave the description, especially when it comes to higher numbers of plugins displayed there, because sometimes you will not remember the plugin just by its name, but when you actually read the description you will actually find out what that particular plugin is doing. Okay, so once all that is done, you can hit on top. There's the add new button. If we click on the add new button, a new page will open up with all of the plugins displayed. Basically at this page it's only displaying the featured plugins, which in this case are only I think 5. Okay, and then you can actually go and switch to popular, and the last option here is favorites, should you have any favorite plugins. At the moment I do not have those, and I will not actually be going into that particular option. Okay, right at the top you have the upload plugin. So basically if you are a programmer and you have actually created a plugin on your own, you can use this option here, this button, to actually upload that particular plugin. Also, if you have downloaded the plugin from somewhere else, you can use this upload plugin button here to actually upload that particular plugin to your web page, and then you can activate it as well. Okay, so let's look at one of the particular plugins. This is also new to WordPress 4. You can see that display here is in grids, so this is a grid style display. Also you have a number of total items and number of pages. Okay, moving to a single particular plugin. First of all, you will get a link and a name here. Then you get some description about this particular plugin. You will get a information about who's actually made this plugin, and you'll get either the install button here, which has been grayed out, or install now, like in this case here. So this particular plugin has been installed onto my WordPress, and therefore it's been grayed out and it said installed. And also there is the more details button. Just down below, this is the feedback from the users. So for this particular plugin, we can see that it's been downloaded more than 26 million times. and the average mark here is 4. So as you can see, when you hover over the actual stars, you can see that 4.0 rating based on 1266 ratings, which actually means that out of more than 26 million downloads, 1266 people have actually submitted their votes, and they think that this particular plugin deserves 4 out of 5 stars. Okay, so when you have time, you can go through a list of all of these different plugins, and you can read and see what they actually do and how you can actually go about implementing them into your web page and actually downloading and everything else. Okay, but for this particular video, what I will do is I will use the search box here, and I'm going to search for a plugin, something to do with the Facebook. I'll type in Facebook and I hit enter key, and now I will get all the plugins available for the Facebook. So they all have to do something with a Facebook. Alright, so I can see that currently there is a bit more than 2000 plugins for the Facebook, and there's actually 68 pages. Alright, so just like before, we'll get the name of the particular plugin, we'll get some description, we'll get who is developed by, so in this case that's Facebook, we'll get the ratings, the number of downloads, the last time this particular plugin was updated, and this was actually 9 months ago, and whether or not this has actually been tested with the current version of the WordPress. In this case, for this particular plugin, as you can see, this has not been tested with my version of the WordPress. Nevertheless, I have the install now button, which I can click and the installation process will start straight after this, or I can hit on more details. I strongly suggest each time you actually go and install any of the plugins, you actually come here and you hit on more details, and a pop-up window will show like this, where you can actually see quite a lot of information about this particular plugin. First of all, once again, we can see that this plugin has not been tested with my current version of the WordPress. There's gonna be a bit more on this particular plugin, so more details about it and how to, and some features and a few other things. Also, you'll find very useful information in the installation section, so this is something that you must check before you actually go and download and install the actual plugin. This will give you information how to go about installing this particular plugin. Then you can hit on screenshots and you can see what this particular plugin looks like. You can have a look at the changes or the updates or the actual change log. You can have a look at the frequently asked questions, other notes, and of course the reviews. So this is where the people will write something about this particular plugin, people who have actually used this plugin, and give it a rating out of 5. Here you'll find information such as versions, so this particular plugin version is 1.5.5, the author is Facebook, when it was last updated, and a few other information as well. Alright, so what I will do now, even this has a very poor rating, I will install this plugin. So to do that, I'll hit on install now button, and this will now take me through the process of installing this particular plugin. Alright, so I can see that the package has actually been downloaded, it's been unpacked or unzipped, and then it was installing, and at the end I'll get a message, successfully installed plugin Facebook 1.5.5. Then I get the two links. The first one is to activate the plugin, and the other one is to actually return to the plugin installer. Alright, what I will do, I'll go to install plugins, and here I'll find my new plugin Facebook. Also, I can see that it's been added to the inactive section of my plugins. Okay, so what I will do now is I'll just hit on this button here, activate, and now this particular plugin will be activated, and I can see that by this message here, it says plugin activated. Alright, the other options I have here are to deactivate, to edit, and I can actually go into settings. Also, if you have a look at here, now we have one active plugin, and let's go and see which one that is. And of course, it's actually the Facebook plugin, and I have the available options here as I did before. Okay, so now I can say that my particular plugin has been installed. So let's go ahead and see what we can do and how we can actually use that on our web page. If you have a look at the main menu, you will notice that now we have a new link here, which is actually Facebook. Here we have general, like button, send button, follow button. Alright, let's hit on Facebook. And here, if you're actually developer with the Facebook, you can enter your information here and you can save the changes, and basically this will give you a few other options. But for now, the most important thing is, let's have a look at the like button. So this is the button that people, when they read your particular post, will say, okay, I like this, and they will click on the like button. The process will actually take them through logging into their Facebook account, and you will get their like. Okay, the first option here, and actually you can read a bit more about this right here. So you click on read more, and that will actually give you a few more information about this particular plugin and how it works. So the first option is here. Where do you want to show this? I want to show it everywhere. So wherever there is a new post, I want people, maybe not on the attachment, I want people to be able to actually like my post. Position, before and after the post, before the post or after the post. Well, I think before the post, because I'm thinking of people who are viewing my page or particular post for the very first time, and if my post has got a lot of likes, it's more likely that people will read it, and this is something that's gonna catch their actually eyes when they're viewing. So I'll leave it as before the post. Include the share button along the side, most definitely. Layout, there's 3 available options. I'll leave it as a standard. Show faces, yes. Width, you can set the width of the button, and you can either go with the like or recommend. I'll leave it as like. Font, let's go with Arial, and color, I'll go with light, and I'll hit on save changes. Okay, I'll get a message that my settings have been changed. I'll go to send button, and I'll do exactly the same. I'll go home, everything except for the attachments. I'll say before the post, Arial, save changes. And the last option is, of course, the follow button, and I would like my follow button to be displayed everywhere. Before the post, I'll leave it as it is. I'll show faces, I'll select the font as Arial, and I will save changes as well. So basically we have activated now the like button, send button, and follow button. Okay, so this is all you have to do in order to actually activate the like, share, and follow button for this particular plugin. And if I go back to my home page, to the front end, I can see now that I have the send, like, and share button. And if I was to click on any of those, for example, I can hit on like, I will confirm it, and it will actually ask me now to sign in and everything else, and I'll do that. I'll actually go and hit on like, and you can see that now this is displayed here as I'm the one who actually likes this particular post. Okay, so this has basically been a very straightforward demonstration on how you can add some of the plugins to your web page, how you would go about installation, and how you would actually go about setting up everything else. Okay, the last thing I would like to do here is actually go back to the plugins, and I will actually first of all go and deactivate my Facebook plugin, and after I have actually deactivated, I will go and delete this particular plugin. Then it will ask me whether or not I would like to save the file data. I will go no, and I will delete everything, and you will see that that particular option on my main menu will now disappear, as I do not have this particular plugin anymore. Going back to my front tab of the page, when I refresh it, all of these buttons should actually disappear now. Okay, so that's how you will go about actually installing a new plugin onto your web page using WordPress. I had already mentioned a few times in the previous video tutorials that WordPress was originally designed to be a blogging platform, and the main idea was to actually enable the bloggers to create an easy to follow and easy to maintain web page where they can actually write their blogs. Okay, having said that, WordPress has actually evolved a lot during the last years, and basically you can build any sort of a web page using WordPress now. However, people at WordPress still try to make the life a lot easier for the people who are using their web pages as their blogs, but also have their blogging account elsewhere. What they've done is actually they created a little segment or a little part of this WordPress software, which is called the tools, and we will have a look at the tools during this video tutorial. Okay, to find the tools, you can go to the main menu, which is located on the left, and you'll find a link tools. Okay, so if you click on tools, this will bring you to the available tools, and here you'll find just one example of the tools that actually come pre-installed with WordPress 4. Well, this particular tool, as it says here, will actually enable you to clip text, images and videos from other web pages. You can then edit those, and basically you can save those and publish in your own post on your own site. So basically what you would do to enable this, you would just click on it, you would drag it and drop it onto your bookmarks bar. Okay, so this is the one that's currently available here, and also you can see there's another one here which is called categories and tag converter. However, if you go just down the available tools, you'll find the import, and if you click on the import, you'll get a list of all the tools that you can actually import into your web page. Alright, so like I've said just before, the tools section here is all to do with blogging. Well, at least 90% of all the tools is to do with blogging, and it's actually in a way that I think is actually linking your web page to your account elsewhere where you do blogging. Of course, one of the major players when it comes to blogging is the Blogger, and basically the very first tool here will allow you to actually install a tool that's called a Blogger. So basically by installing this tool, you'll be able to import all the posts, comments and users from a Blogger blog site. So if you have an account with a Blogger and you use this tool, you can actually get all of the post comments onto your web page. Okay, and basically what you would do to install any tool is that you would click on it, like for example this one, and a pop-up window will show up. This pop-up window is exactly the same as the one we have seen previously with the plugins. Basically, you will get some description, you'll get some installation details, so how to go about installing this particular tool. You'll get some screenshots, you'll get different versions, so changelog, you'll get some frequently asked questions, other notes, and reviews. Of course, there's gonna be some other information like the version, the author, when it was last updated, and you'll get some of the actual ratings here. So for this particular tool, the average rating is 3.5 out of 5 stars, and you can see how many times it's been downloaded and a few other information as well. Well, since I'm not into blogging and I do not have an account with Blogger, so I'm not going to actually go ahead and install this particular tool, even though the main idea of this tutorial video is to show you that you can do this, and WordPress makes it really easy. All you have to do is actually go and read the installation notes here, and once you have read all that, you can click on the install button and just follow what's actually written here. Okay, so I'll just close this window, and as you can see, there's a lot of not a lot but a few tools here which you can use for your blogging and actually getting all of your blogs and contacts and everything else onto your web page. Also, you can find a link just down the bottom, and what it says is, if the importer you need is not listed, search the plugin directory to see if an importer is available. Alright, so you will click on this particular link and this will take you to a new page where you can actually search for a plugin. So plugins and tools are very similar, and basically they will allow you to actually link your blogs and your web page. Okay, apart from the import option here, there is also the export. So if you click on the export, a new window will show up like this. Basically what this will do is it will actually create an XML file which you will save to your computer, and basically you can use this file which is actually called WordPress Extended RSS or WXR, and this particular file will contain all the post pages, comments and custom fields, and you can use that particular file to actually upload onto some other programming software, so some other blogging software or something like that, and actually in that way you can link your page with your account on some other blogging software and developer packages. So basically what you would do, you can either choose all content, you can choose the posts, and then you can search for the categories. And once again, this is the categories that I have created in one of the previous tutorials, so maybe I can go with computers. And the authors, I'll choose John Smith, and then you can actually select the date. I'll go from November to December, and I will select whether I want the published ones, the scheduled ones, draft, private and whatnot. I'll select published, and I can actually go ahead and actually hit on download export file. Also I can go to the pages and I can select which page I want to actually have here. So who was the author? John Smith. The starting date November, December is the ending date, and the status I will probably go ahead and select the published. So basically you would create many different XML files which then you can use to actually link with your other accounts you might have elsewhere, so for example Blogger or something like that. Okay, so with WordPress, under the tools section you'll find some tools which will, the way I think about it is actually link your web page to your blogging account elsewhere, and then link your blogging account which is located elsewhere to your web page, and this will definitely make your blogging a lot easier, as you would not need to actually write text on both of those accounts. So on your web page and on the Blogger, for example, you can just write it on your web page and that will be linked with your other account as well. Alright, so once again, the tools available here are very useful if you're into blogging and if you have a blogging account elsewhere, and you can easily link it with your web page that you're currently working on and building with WordPress 4. I had already mentioned a few times in the previous video tutorials that WordPress was originally designed to be a blogging platform, and the main idea was to actually enable the bloggers to create an easy to follow and easy to maintain web page where they can actually write their blogs. Okay, having said that, WordPress has actually evolved a lot during the last years, and basically you can build any sort of a web page using WordPress now. However, people at WordPress still try to make the life a lot easier for the people who are using their web pages as their blogs, but also have their blogging account elsewhere. What they've done is actually they created a little segment or a little part of this WordPress software which is called the tools, and we will have a look at the tools during this video tutorial. Okay, to find the tools, you can go to the main menu which is located on the left and you'll find a link tools. Okay, so if you click on tools, this will bring you to the available tools, and here you'll find just one example of the tools that actually come pre-installed with WordPress 4. Well, this particular tool, as it says here, will actually enable you to clip text, images and videos from other web pages. You can then edit those, and basically you can save those and publish in your own post on your own site. So basically what you would do to enable this, you would just click on it, you would drag it and drop it onto your bookmarks bar. Okay, so this is the one that's currently available here, and also you can see there's another one here which is called categories and tag converter. However, if you go just down the available tools, you'll find the import, and if you click on the import, you'll get a list of all the tools that you can actually import into your web page. Alright, so like I've said just before, the tools section here is all to do with blogging. Well, at least 90% of all the tools is to do with blogging, and it's actually in a way that I think is actually linking your web page to your account elsewhere where you do blogging. Of course, one of the major players when it comes to blogging is the Blogger, and basically the very first tool here will allow you to actually install a tool that's called a Blogger. So basically by installing this tool, you'll be able to import all the posts, comments and users from a Blogger blog site. So if you have an account with a Blogger and you use this tool, you can actually get all of the post comments onto your web page. Okay, and basically what you would do to install any tool is that you will click on it, like for example this one, and a pop-up window will show up. This pop-up window is exactly the same as the one we have seen previously with the plugins. Basically you will get some description, you will get some installation details, so how to go about installing this particular tool, you'll get some screenshots, you'll get different versions, so changelog, you'll get some frequently asked questions, other notes, and reviews. Of course there's gonna be some other information like the version, the author, when it was last updated, and you'll get some of the actual ratings here. So for this particular tool the average rating is 3.5 out of 5 stars, and you can see how many times it's been downloaded and a few other information as well. Well, since I'm not into blogging and I do not have an account with Blogger, so I'm not going to actually go ahead and install this particular tool, even though the main idea of this tutorial video is to show you that you can do this, and WordPress makes it really easy. All you have to do is actually go and read the installation notes here, and once you have read all that, you can click on the install button and just follow what's actually written here. Okay, so I'll just close this window, and as you can see there's a lot of not a lot but a few tools here which you can use for your blogging and actually getting all of your blogs and contacts and everything else onto your web page. Also you can find a link just down the bottom, and what it says is if the importer you need is not listed, search the plugin directory to see if an importer is available. Alright, so you will click on this particular link and this will take you to a new page where you can actually search for a plugin. So plugins and tools are very similar, and basically they will allow you to actually link your blogs and your web page. Okay, apart from the import option here, there is also the export. So if you click on the export, a new window will show up like this. Basically what this will do is it will actually create an XML file which you will save to your computer, and basically you can use this file which is actually called WordPress Extended RSS or WXR, and this particular file will contain all the post pages, comments and custom fields, and you can use that particular file to actually upload onto some other programming software, so some other blogging software or something like that, and actually in that way you can link your page with your account on some other blogging software and developer packages. So basically what you would do, you can either choose all content, you can choose the posts, and then you can search for the categories, and once again this is the categories that I have created in one of the previous tutorials. So maybe I can go with computers, and the authors I'll choose John Smith, and then you can actually select the date. I'll go from I'll go from November to December, and I will select whether I want the published ones, the scheduled ones, draft, private and whatnot. I'll select published, and I can actually go ahead and actually hit on download export file. Also I can go to the pages and I can select which page I want to actually have here. So who was the author? John Smith. The starting date November, December is the ending date, and status I will probably go ahead and select the published. So basically you would create many different XML files which then you can use to actually link with your other accounts you might have elsewhere, so for example Blogger or something like that. Okay, so with WordPress under the tools section you'll find some tools which will, the way I think about it is actually link your web page to your blogging account elsewhere, and then link your blogging account which is located elsewhere to your web page, and this will definitely make your blogging a lot easier, as you would not need to actually write text on both of those accounts. So on your web page and on the Blogger, for example, you can just write it on your web page and that will be linked with your other account as well. Alright, so once again the tools available here are very useful if you're into blogging and if you have a blogging account elsewhere, and you can easily link it with your web page that you're currently working on and building with WordPress 4.